just wanted to share with you today that I've been very busy trying to keep plants alive, weeding, trying to keep this whole garden looking lush and beautiful, and feeding it. And what I've been doing is collecting lots of calendula seeds, lots of delphinium seeds, nasturtium seeds, and dianthus seeds. So, and then I discovered that a few weeks ago I had this tomato plant right here, this tomato plant, and it was just about a foot tall, if that. And I plucked off all the lower leaves, and I didn't just want to throw it in the ground, so then I stuck it into this pot, and now I've got 1, 2, and 3 tomato plants growing just from the armpits, the lower leaves of the tomato plant. So on that particular plant, since I propagated 3 tomatoes, I decided to do that today because it helps keep the health of the plant so it doesn't get diseased down there near the base. And while I was at it, I didn't want this pot to only have one plant, so I threw in a sunflower seed and some other seeds, but I'm not sure if they're gonna pop up. And here's a giant sunflower that's coming up. I think it's a mammoth. And then over yonder I have another sunflower. So I'm gonna start popping seeds into the ground now and then, and propagating different things. This is another thing I propagated, this lush bed of zinnias. I just popped off the top of it and encouraged it to branch so it looks lush. And on top of that, the part that I popped off of at the tip, I stuck it in the ground. So these are probably the propagated ones. And so that's what I did today, was collected a bunch of lower leaves of the tomatoes. So let me show you my other tomato plant. Here's the tomato plant, and I just plucked off the lower leaves so it looks pretty bare, and then it gets more lush here, and it's already starting to flower. So I'll give it a little shake. Hopefully it'll make me some fruit. And let me show you the other. So I went in here and got all the lower leaves as well. I probably need to get these as well when it comes up. And let me get the label. This is the big boy hybrid variety. So what I plan to do is collect the lower leaves and keep propagating it, because you can't really propagate this variety from seed. It's a hybrid. But look at how big that plant is, and I'm just going to keep plucking the lower leaves and propagating it and giving it to friends and family and growing some for myself. So I went ahead and planted it into the ground. Do you see all those little babies? 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. 5. They're next to where I had the borage. I'm finally seeing some basil pop up. Finally, I'm so happy. Place some more of those lower leaves of the tomato over here next to my bush, my pole beans. And the zinnias are starting to pop up. This looks like orange, because they were propagated from the same stems. Tomato right here, tomato in here. So if the ginger doesn't pop up, then at least the tomato will. Here's another tomato that I'm gonna need to take off the lower leaves. Here's Mr. Stripey, and I took the lower leaves off of that, and I stuck them in 3 little pots, and hopefully Basically, I went everywhere and took the lower leaves of tomatoes and stuck it in different corners of the garden. Right there. Right there. Here is another one. Here is another one. This pot, I forgot what seeds I put in here because I didn't label it. But nothing's come up so far, so stuck a tomato in there. Stuck a tomato in that one. Stuck a tomato in the ground. A couple there. So while I was at my mom's house recently, after a little trip, I gathered some of her vines from her passion fruit, because when I hauled in the mulch here, I killed my mature passion fruit, and I had propagated 2 others. I gave them away to friends, and I knew that I always had a backup at my mom's, so I took 3 vines from her, and you just soak it until it roots. And although I successfully propagated a jasmine plant from my mom, I took some more jasmine cuttings and I'm propagating it in this garden bed, giving it some shade until it roots. Then I'll dig it out and stick it in its own pot. I love the fragrance. I love this variety of jasmine. It's called Arabia or something like that. Look at that tomato plant. It's already making me fruits. That's 3 tomatoes right there. They're going to be a small little pear-shaped variety, I think. The last time that I visited my mom before this last time, she gave me some of this Japanese, I think you call it shiso or something like that. And it was just little cuttings about 2 inches tall. And I stuck it in the ground here, and it is doing marvelous. A good vegetable to have. I got some gardenia cuttings from my mom, and I'm hoping to propagate gardenia successfully. I haven't been before able to, but I keep trying, and I've only tried once before, so this is my second attempt. So as you can see, I try to keep propagating and keep growing and keep buying and keep acquiring a variety of plants, flowering ones, perennials, annuals, seeds, fruits, vegetables, and I'm just trying to make this place into an oasis, and I think it will be in a couple more years. This is the 4th year of my garden here. The goji is doing fantastic, and I even propagated it from a few cuttings that I harvested the leaves to make tea out of. And I stuck the canes in this pot here, and it looks dried and dead, but if you look carefully at this cane, it's got some leaves. So I'm going to give that to my sister and my brother, and I'm just going to keep, and some friends, and I'm just going to keep propagating. Dad had some of these basil here. I just throw it back in the ground and I hope that it reseeds. It's doing beautiful. My kaffir lime is super healthy. I love it. New growth here. So you guys wouldn't know it. I don't know if you would suspect it, but when you grow a variety of things, be it flowering and vegetables and stuff, you bring about wildlife. So I need to cut down some of this lemon tree. It's getting out of hand. It looked beautiful a couple years ago when I paid someone to an arbor to cut off a few branches and make it not so tall because it's reaching the phone lines and stuff. to find someone after the growing season's over. And so as you can see, there are a variety of plants, and the variety of plants bring about a variety of wildlife. So lately I've been seeing a pair of hummingbirds buzzing around, and they're very comfortable with this garden and hanging out, even flying close to me. And the other thing it likes to do is go up to the canna lilies and get nectar from it and just kind of buzz all over the garden. I don't know exactly what it seeks, but recently I ordered some perennial flowering plants, some for bees and some for birds, and I'm hoping that it'll make this garden look even more colorful. I also got some more of these geraniums from my mom. So this is one that I had already, and here's a cutting I stuck into the pot here. So if this plant looks like it's dying, if it doesn't make it, I'll just pull it out and I'll have this plant. Some things live and some things don't, so don't fuss over it. Just enjoy the process. So here's a pomegranate. Here's a cute little baby citrus. Here's another two. Let's see, that's my semi-dwarf sanguinelli blood orange. Ooh, I'm excited. And here's some panache figs. Ooh, I found some fruit for once. I didn't see those. They were hiding way in the back. Those are my dwarf Bartlett pear. That's the first time I've seen fruit on that tree. That's awesome. So happy, so excited. And in that pot I'm propagating some papaya, but you know, I have a love-hate relationship with it. I love it to eat and I want to grow it, but they never make it, so that's what's upsetting about that. Oh my goodness, look at that giant apricot. Oh my. And there's another right there. And another right there. Oh my goodness, that one looks beautiful. So back to the point of growing a variety of fruits and vegetables and things in your garden. Some things will make it and some things won't. And I used to fret over it, but after checking out Fruitopia's garden, that man, he buys so many fruit trees and some don't make it, and he puts care into it. So if it doesn't make it, he gave it a fair chance. And what he said was, don't get upset, just buy a new one next year. It's a small investment that provides you hundreds and hundreds of pounds of fruit and food. So ever since I heard that, I realized he is right. And for food security, especially in these times when food is hard to get a hold of and is expensive and gas is expensive, what he said rang true to me. So when you bring about a variety of plants, all kinds, you're gonna bring about lots of wildlife. So as you can hear all this noisiness from all the wild birds, which I've been trying to keep away from my chickens because of biosecurity, but at the same time I love it because I've been seeing blue jays around here, which I've never seen before. I'm seeing hoverflies. I am seeing lots of bees. What was the other thing? Oh, so the other day I saw a big black crow, and it just hopped onto that roof right there of my neighbor's and captured a roof rat or mouse. I saw it. It just landed and made a cracking sound. I think it broke the mouse's neck, and then it kind of walked up the roof a little bit, and then after that it flew off, and I saw something hanging from its mouth, and it had like a long stringy thing, and I realized I realized it was a mouse's tail. So then I realized the crow caught itself a mouse, which I love, because a few weeks before that I had seen a crow. Someone left a trash can open, the lid, and the crow jumped in there and pulled out a styrofoam box and started pulling out the junk food that was in there. And I went over there and I threw everything back in the trash can, and I closed the lid so that it wouldn't eat styrofoam and so that it won't make trash everywhere. And so that kind of was redeeming. It ate something natural, like mice, and it kept from eating the junk food. And here's a carpenter bee. Ooh, a pair of them. It's kind of scary when they buzz near your face. So, and what did I see other than that? Oh, so the 2 hummingbirds, like I said, and now carpenter bees. It's been a couple years since I planted some those scarlet runner beans, which attracted the carpenter bees, but I guess they're attracted to something else in the garden. And I love it because over time, this year is the first year that I've seen so many pineapple guavas and flowers, and the fruit is coming. The fruit is starting to develop, and this is I just bought this, I think, last year, this Shinseki pear, and it's making me lots of fruit, even despite the lead branch breaking off by something, and also the scare of having some kind of disease on this plant. And then my kaffir lime leaf is doing fantastic. It's growing a lot taller. It's grown at least another 1.5 feet taller than last year, and all my citrus are starting to grow a lot bigger. And oh my goodness, look at these giant lemons. Like, that is humongous. And those back there. But I do have to make this a little more tame. So that's the point of this video, is if you plant a lot of variety of plants, you get a huge variety of fruit and vegetables to eat, food security, and then you get a variety of insects and wildlife that come to visit and help you pollinate your garden and eat pests, and your plants will thrive ever more, and it will be lush and full of food the way that they have gardens in Florida and elsewhere. So I plan on having that lushness here. I hope to, very much. And I'll keep harvesting seeds, separating plants, propagating plants, acquiring plants from my mom and friends and family, and acquiring seeds. Recently I bought about 19 perennials from Bluestone Perennials, so check that video out. These are perennials, and I hope that they will survive for the long term and bring me lots and lots of perennials that come back year after year, so that I can share with my siblings, and so my garden can be lush. Hope you give all this gardening a try and come share with me how to grow. So for instance, here I have this pineapple guava, and if you touch the leaves and smell it, it smells like pineapple and has these beautiful red flowers. And I grew it here and it really loved it here, other than these recent bites from the white flies or something. So it's so lush. I bought it as a little tiny 4-inch or something plant, and in a pot, and now it's grown, and in fact it's got a separate plant entirely, or several separate plants. So I'm going to divide it out and give some to my siblings and family and friends, and I'll keep doing that because that's the joy of having perennials. You can always share more and split it off. I love it so much. Another thing is, don't be afraid to propagate things and overwinter things and make yourself more food from just a small amount. So I bought only 2 tomato plants and 1 basil, and I've managed to propagate some of the tomatoes, and then some of the tomatoes were started from seed. And here I've got a pepper plant, another pepper plant, another pepper plant, all overwintered, just keeping it warm, putting a lot of pots at its base and keeping it warm. We don't have snow here, but it sure gets pretty cold, down to the mid-30s or 40s and stuff like that. So I'm so happy. I still have lots of vegetables in my garden, and soon to be lots of fruits and lots of eggs from my chickens. So it's getting to be a very productive time. Just by buying like a $7 or $8 pack of bulbs, I got all these onions, and I can eat them and harvest them over time. And I grew in, for a pack of seeds that were only like $2 to $3, I got all these green beans that are popping up, and these are bush beans that I planted in there after I planted the bulbs. And over time, as I harvest the onions, I'm going to be able to harvest green beans, and when this season's over, I'll just till it over and put new seeds in here. It's quite easy. And this was started from a Bell & Country fire ring, and now it looks a lot more lush. And I just put a lot of deadheads at the edges and paper to kind of keep the grass weeds from growing into that bed. I mean, over time it will invade, but for the time I've got it semi under control.